Imagine opening your fridge, grabbing a carton of milk, pouring it into your coffee, and suddenly asking yourself, what if this milk was actually used to wash millions of dollars? Sounds insane, right? But that is exactly what happened in one of the biggest corporate scandals in Italy, the Parmalat case. In the next minutes, you will discover how a simple dairy company fooled investors, politicians, and even soccer fans around the world. You will learn what Parmalat really was, how a milk company became a global financial monster, who the mastermind behind it all was, what tricks kept the fraud alive for years, and what lessons we should take from this glass of spoiled milk. Section 1. What was Parmalat? Parmalat began in the 1960s in Italy. Its great innovation was milk that could last for months without refrigeration. Imagine living in a small town where milk spoiled in 2 days, and suddenly you had cartons lasting half a year. It was revolutionary. The brand grew fast, expanding into juices, cookies, yogurt, and even sponsoring big soccer teams like Parma. For Italians, Parmalat was not just a brand. It was part of everyday life. But behind the smiling cow logo, a storm was coming. Section 2. Why did Parmalat become a financial monster? Success brought ambition. Parmalat wanted to be more than a milk company. It wanted to be a global empire. They bought companies in Latin America, Africa, and the United States. But here is the problem. Expansion costs money. Instead of paying debts, they borrowed more and more. Imagine your neighbor opening a bakery with a small loan, then borrowing again to buy the bakery across the street, and then another in the next city. At some point, the numbers stopped making sense. By the late 1990s, Parmalat looked rich from the outside, but inside it was drowning in debt. So who was pulling the strings? Section 3. Who was behind the curtain? The man in charge was Callisto Tanzi, the founder and CEO. To the public, he was a humble businessman. He sponsored soccer, donated to charities, and smiled in front of cameras. But inside the boardroom, he was running a financial circus. Tanzi ordered accountants to invent fake bank accounts, shuffle debts, and create imaginary assets. At one point, Parmalat claimed to have a $4 billion account in the Cayman Islands. That was pure fiction. Like someone telling you they have a treasure chest buried in the backyard, but when you dig, there is only dirt. So why did nobody notice? Section 4. How did they hide the fraud? The tricks were so complex that even auditors and banks were fooled. Fake documents, offshore companies, and suspicious transactions kept the illusion alive. It was like a family dinner, where everyone sees a huge cake on the table, but nobody dares cut it because they are afraid it will collapse. Meanwhile, Parmalat spent fortunes on sponsorships to look rich. They even put their logo on the Ferrari Formula One team. Milk and race cars, because nothing says, "We are wealthy," like dairy on a speeding engine. But in 2003, the truth spilled out. Auditors checked that Cayman Islands account and found nothing. Overnight, Parmalat collapsed with a $14 billion hole, the biggest bankruptcy in Europe at the time. Section 5. What can we learn? First, scandals often hide in plain sight. Who would suspect a milk company of running one of the biggest frauds ever? Second, trust is fragile. Families trusted Parmalat not just with food, but as a symbol of safety. That trust was broken, leaving thousands jobless and investors ruined. Third, always question what looks too good to be true. If a company grows too fast and promises too much, maybe the milk is already spoiled. So next time you see a brand logo on your breakfast table, ask yourself, what story is really behind it? Conclusion. The Parmalat scandal was not about milk. It was about greed, illusion, and unchecked ambition. On the surface, it looked like a fountain of wealth, but inside, it was rotten. Milk can nourish, but in the wrong hands, it can also deceive. That is the big lesson. Now tell me in the comments, If milk can hide billions in fraud, what other everyday product could be hiding a scandal? Do not forget to subscribe and hit the like button so more people can discover the wild stories behind their fridge.